So I'm going to start in my large vegetable garden. This is after the cold snap that we had in Arizona where we went below freezing. My spinach survived beautifully. I think I mentioned before that spinach grows okay in cold weather, and so do beets and Swiss chard. So I've got some really gorgeous new leaves. I was able to harvest quite a bit of it before the cold snap, and I left the inside leaves that were still growing, and they've made for some very robust spinach plants. Unfortunately, I've lost quite a few. I did have a red pepper plant. That is it now. It is kaput. So I'm going to have to pull that, and in a few weeks we'll be replanting. My one really interesting plant here is my sugar snap pea, which has just been okay. I did use a frost blanket to cover the entire garden, and I managed to save this sugar snap pea. I've yet to see any blooms on it or any kind of vegetable growing, but the plant itself is flourishing. And it makes some pretty neat little vines that you can see that grab onto my trellis, keep it growing. It's quite tall. Next are my red onions, which I've also had the pleasure of harvesting, and I use them beautifully in homemade chicken pot pies. They're very small, but they're still wonderful. They taste great, and they're just growing very well still. My beans perished. They are no more. My poor pepper. My yellow bell peppers. What's left and what happens to bell peppers when they die in a cold frost? They shrivel up and dry up, and that's the end of that. My gorgeous jalapenos that were growing so beautifully, same thing. They're the jalapenos. They're no longer green. They are yellow and shriveled up, and pretty much I can say they are dead. So I did lose the majority of my garden through that cold snap, even though I used a frost blanket, but I will be replanting in a couple of weeks as the weather gets a little bit warmer and is ideal for growing and planting.